Okay, hi everyone. I'll just give you all another 30 seconds or so, just to get your feet under the table. Make sure that that cup of tea is nice and warm. Hope you're all well. Okay, good. Okay, well, we've got a nice webinar planned for you guys today. Thanks very much for joining us. FactFinder Next Generation. This is an overview of our latest release and how it compares to the previous version. Nice tagline, more than just a version number. And I think really where we've come in the last sort of 12 months developing this bit of software and delivering it now to over 200 shops across Europe is quite astounding. And I think with the awards that it's picked up over the last 3 or 4 months as well, I hope that you can see just how important this is. Well, how important this is now, and how important this is going to be for retailers in the coming future. So yes, great to see. I can see there's a few familiar faces on there, and a few faces I don't know. So welcome to you all. Let's have a look at the team. So these are the lovely people who are on the call with us today. Myself, Stuart Patterson, I'm your moderator, UK Sales and Operations Director here for the UK, Ireland and the Nordics. We have the lovely Holly Murdoch, Head of UK Projects. I'm sure those who are familiar with FactFinder will have met Holly already or know her in some capacity. The very dashing looking Nicholas, he is our product manager and head of innovation. And last but not least, the very chiseled looking Sebastian, he is our head of project development. Everyone on the panel has many years of working with FactFinder internationally, wealth of e-commerce experience working with retailers and brands of various sizes across various verticals. Hopefully, when it comes to the questions at the end, we'll be able to answer anything interesting and give you some further insight. So, without further ado, for those who are not familiar with FactFinder, let me just give you a brief overview of who we are. We are a market-leading digital experience platform, first and foremost. Ultimate aim, improving user experience and conversion rates. Over 20 years of experience in innovation, e-commerce development and problem solving. Predominantly, this is aimed at retailers and brands, both B2C and B2B, across all verticals. We have the luxury, I guess, of being platform agnostic, as well as this, all the technology is built in-house as well. So when it comes to developing the technology, we can customize and develop all in-house. So it's a lot quicker. The modules themselves. So just to give you a quick recap of where we are. So there are 4 main modules or silos, I guess you'd like to call them, which can be built into the e-commerce shop. These can be either added one by one, or they can be added all together. It really depends on the client's requirements. So it's quite adaptable, and again, it's quite bespoke depending on the need of the client. So the search core, as you can see, is in the top left-hand corner of this particular slide. So the search itself is AI, machine learning search and product ranking, intelligently merchandise results. This is all, of course, based on logic, as well as customer interactions and purchases. We also have the ability to create commercial rules and KPIs through ranking rules, or some of you may refer to them as cocktails. So that's really important when you're trying to put your own commercial values into the shop system. You have predictive suggest. So product suggestions, for example, suggested categories, recent search terms. These are all based on the very first characters that are typed into the search bar. So as it's populated, so the actual the box is populated with different products, etc. A really nice feature actually in here as well is the ability to show hidden content. So things like blog posts, for example, or inspirational posts and pages. We have an analytics suite as well. As you'd expect with this type of technology, it's important to record all the data. So it's really important to understand the customer behavior and buying patterns first and foremost. Get high level reporting and obviously reporting at a glance. So things like the KPIs and things that you want to see. The analytics dashboard can be configured to the specific user as well. Which is really cool, and it's really helpful in improving the conversion rate optimization and understanding the potential of the data. Following nicely on from the analytics is A/B testing. So this is a really cool tool. The ability to test different product lists, for example, rules, campaign performances or preferences, all essential for conversion rate optimization and user experience. More to come on A/B testing in a while, so I'm not going to talk too much about that. Customer journey, bottom left hand of the screen there. So the customer journey includes AI-driven merchandise navigation, enhancing all that AI and machine learning technology that you get through search can be then replicated through the navigation. And dynamic filtering. Again, dynamic filtering is really important when we're talking about optimizing the user experience for the customer. Top right-hand corner, personalization. So first and foremost, personalized shopping experience based on user preference and trends. So what they're clicking on, what they're looking at, as well as the ability to cross-sell and upsell products through intelligent recommendations. A more recent addition to this module, and one of the things we'll be talking about more, is the customer specific pricing, which is a really nice touch. Finally, modular wise, we have the merchandising module. So the main points being the ability to set up custom landing pages, the ability to push products, hero products, inject additional content, whether it be images, any type of media or banners that you want to display. And you've got a super cool feature as well, which is what we call guided selling. So guided selling allows the retailers to refine the product selection in a more customer-friendly way. So that's a really nice feature and being used quite a bit at the minute. Additional products. You can see there's 3 at the bottom there. So we've got geo search. Again, more to come on that in a bit. We'll talk about that in a bit more detail. Predictive basket, which is another really good feature. More info on that to come. And we have our own customer success services. So we have our own consultancy team, which are really good. These guys provide further optimization and support. As you would expect when you're using a tool like this, it's always good to have those expert set of eyes on what you're doing. And we also have our own 9-to-5 support team. So this would be a technical service desk to answer any questions that a retailer or an agency may have. These guys can be contacted either over email or alternatively, if you prefer more old-fashioned methods, phones. So very contactable and very helpful set of consultancy services. Okay, I think that sort of pretty much covers off the intro side of things. So without further ado, I will hand you over to Holly, who will take you through some of the changes and developments over the last year in more detail. Holly, over to you.
Cheers, Stuart. Afternoon, everyone. So I'll give you a bit of an exciting overview of what we've been working on at FactFinder. So I talked a bit about the search core. So search is the heart of everything that we run at FactFinder. So it's good to get this bit right. So as Stuart said earlier, FactFinder NG Next Generation is not just a new version number. It's a complete redevelopment. So we've rebuilt FactFinder from the ground up. It's based on Java, but the aim and the main goal for us here was to deliver a much more performant product. Worked brilliant before, continues to work really well for our customers. But the aim here is to be able to surpass that and improve on it. So we've improved massively on the performance. So we can process requests much faster, we can index data much faster, and we can handle that data much better. We still have our own algorithm. So the algorithm that we have is built in-house, developed by us, maintained by us. So it's completely unique to us, nothing else like it on the market. Error tolerant is sort of built into that as well. So we can make sure that we're always delivering relevant results whenever we do serve out search requests. So yes, and the algorithm can now search much more efficiently. So we can digest a lot of data and we can index that and search for it much more quicker, much more efficiently, and still produce the lightning fast response times as well. So we can, we've seen examples where we can serve out requests or response times of, say, 70 milliseconds from databases that include millions of products. So it really does depend on what data you can throw at us, and we'll happily be able to test that and be able to optimize FactFinder to return results really super quickly, really, really efficiently. So yeah, large amounts of data is no problem. Hardware scaling has been worked on as well. So again, my colleague Sebastian is going to go through that a little bit more later on as well, how we can scale the services depending on the level of traffic that you have on your site. But, you know, the performance still has room for improvement. It's something we're continually working on here at FactFinder, amongst other projects that we have to improve the functionality that we can deliver to our customers. So another feature we've been working on as well is something called live ranking. So Stuart touched earlier on ranking rules and how you can use these rules to employ some sort of logic into the results and be able to surface the products you want to really expose to your customers. Previously, this was a predefined rule that we would process for the whole index. Now we can run a bit more reactively and have these rules running live and reacting to the data. So that's a good improvement and allows us to have a bit more control on the logic of how those rules work as well. Other things we're working on as well is with those ranking rules, having those work in a geo sense. So if you do have localized store availability of stock, that we could be able to obviously surface those products that we know is going to be local to your customers, depending on where they are in the country. And semantic search as well. So really, really powerful for natural language search. And that's definitely one of our key topics that we're working on. Analytics. So within the back end, all of our customers have access to analytics. In NG, again, it's been completely redeveloped. It completely different look and feel and completely new interface for you to interact with and dig out all the relevant information that would be useful for you to then optimize FactFinder further. So we've got new KPIs in there. You've got a little screen grab there of the sort of information we can provide. It supports all of the AI, the machine learning. So all of the information or the tracking data we capture feeds into our analytics package, but it also feeds back into the product itself. So it really helps the AI of search itself to be able to return relevant results and self-optimize without any interaction from you at all. There's a visualization element in the back end of the analytics as well. So if you do want to report on not just the hardcore KPI figures that we can then chart it for you over time to see how trends may be appearing across the site. Then for retailers that have multiple sites that you manage, it can be a bit cumbersome to be able to manage those sites independently. So we've have a tool within the back end of FactFinder where you can put all of that data into a parent channel. Any of your subdomains that you then manage, you can inherit from that parent channel, and it allows you to control your configuration in one place. You're not having to reduplicate the same settings if you want to create one ranking rule in one site, but you wanted to replicate it across other sites. You're not having to go back into the interface and recreate those same settings. So it's really, really useful tool for being able to cut down that extra time in just managing the configuration, and allows you to centralize and sync up your sites more seamlessly in how you want to manage those different channels. So another new cool tool we've got is A/B testing. So in the context of FactFinder, obviously we want to be able to help you get the most out of the tool, be able to make sure that you've got the most optimized results that you're serving out to your customers. And A/B testing is a really, really key part of that. So you're not just having to run based on guesswork, you can actually test out your theories. So within the backend, we've got a nice and easy A/B testing tool. This allows you to have your standard configuration, and then you can set up another test of a different set of configuration. So maybe you do want to test out some different ranking rules, you want to test out some campaigns you want to release, and you want to see how that changing configuration or change in messaging will affect the KPIs that you're wanting to improve on. So you can see there again another screen grab at the back end of the sort of information we can provide back out, the sort of KPIs we can track, and that's a really, really powerful tool to really help you have definitive stats on what works and what doesn't. Another neat tool we have, it's called the Predictive basket. So this really works well in a B2B setting or a retailer where you have repeated customers repeatedly returning to purchase the same types of products time and time again. The Predictive basket, again, as a lot of our tools, is AI based. So all of that tracking data that we absorb ultimately drives this tool as well. So really, really useful for you to be able to put on things like the home page or your basket page or in their account admin area. If it's a place where they land on the site, that they can see some suggestions from us on products we think that customer may be due to return and purchase again. So, you know, in the grocery setting, if you buy milk weekly, you buy toilet roll once a month, for example, then those sorts of trends and frequencies of purchasing we can learn from and build a prediction of what we think that customer may return to purchase that particular week. So it's a really, really powerful tool for those scenarios where you do have customers that return and repeatedly buy the same products. And again, B2B market, especially this really works well for. So this is a new tool we have that we've released called customer specific pricing. Don't say it too fast because it merges into one. This is a really, really neat tool. So if you do have accounts that you manage where you set up pricing that's specific to those accounts, within FactFinder, we obviously capture pricing anyway for any data that you send us for products. But it's obviously not relevant for us to then send us out your book price. You want us to be able to filter and rank products based on the price that you've set for that particular customer. So this tool allows us to do that. So if you could send FactFinder product data, and also supply the customer specific pricing for that data. It allows us to then serve out the correct price to that customer, serve out the correct margins, and have ranking that respects all of those unique prices and metrics as well.
Okay, thanks, Holly. Some really insightful knowledge there of the new additions and features of FactFinder. So thanks very much for that. Next is Seb to take us through integration developments. All yours, Seb.
Yeah, thanks, Stuart. Good afternoon. So Holly already announced that we have also done some changes in a FactFinder hardware or architectural side. And with FactFinder, we're able kind of to provide the search to our customers in a clustered environment to have lightning fast results and also have a better scaling by the hardware. On the right-hand side, you can see kind of how this cluster is set up generally. So there is one indexer where the new products are getting indexed and the search index is generated. And there's also the FactFinder UI and the analytics. So this is the place where the configuration managers are in and then doing the configurations, the campaigns, etc., and all the settings. And then the search nodes on the bottom part, those are only represented, or they only need the search core. So the FactFinder core, so they don't have a UI, no analytics, and so on. And as you can see visually, that we can scale the search nodes to the amounts needed for the shop. So if you have 10 requests, then we won't need as much as if we have 20 requests per second, or 30 or 50 or 100 requests per second. So that highly depends on the shop needs, and we can scale there to have fast results, and that there's not a queue of requests coming into FactFinder, so that they can also be responded and in time. And therefore, kind of with this technology, we can have massive increasements of the overall assortment and also of the product data, and deliver still fast results. But yeah, that's more or less the background, what happens there from an architectural point of view, and that we then can use almost any structure of the data in order to have these fast results. What's also important for the structure, and this has also been a change if you have had experience with FactFinder previously. So there is still the possibility to import data via a CSV file. That's the bottom part of the picture. So this was also how it's done in the past. A CSV file was put into an index. That index was read into memory, and then all the search results were delivered from the memory. That index is also persisted in an intermediate database. That's a PostgreSQL. And this PostgreSQL can also be updated at the same time as the search index via Delta updates. And that's very important, especially for high season challenges, for example, Black Friday, or any campaigns you are performing, or any merchandising you have, when you want to have products that are in stock with the correct prices. You most of the time want to send us Delta updates via the JSON endpoint, because generating the whole CSV file, sending the whole CSV file to us, or that we download it, import it, sometimes takes too much time if we're talking about millions of records. And there are only, let's say, 5 or 20,000 records to change the data. So in that way, it makes sense to send us the JSON via the REST API, that it's immediately in the search index, reflected in all the search nodes, and is persisted in the intermediate database. So this has been also a big improvement for the FactFinder NG, that we're not only file-based, but that we also can go on events and have capabilities of reflecting that directly in the search database. And in order to make the integration faster for FactFinder customers, and how to handle the difficult part between the front end and the FactFinder API, we have also developed the web components where we enable shop users or agencies to integrate FactFinder easier, where we are taking part of the hairy stuff when it comes to connecting the front end with a FactFinder. It's a JavaScript approach, and basically you're defining HTML snippets, as you can see on the GIF, that they're HTML snippets put into the HTML page, and via the JavaScript, the data from FactFinder is then taken into account and displayed on the web page. What we see by that is that we have faster integrations, also most of the time faster results, and basically the important part is then most of the time the styling, obviously, to the designs of the shop. That this goes in hand, and this looks nice and easy because it's more or less bare bones that we deliver the web components, and you can style the way you want. Another feature that's important to note is the update capability. So with the web components, we are making updates of FactFinder NG easier for you in order to update, because the handling between the older and the newer version is done on a web components basis on our side, and you are able to reuse your code even if the FactFinder update is going to take place. So you can still use that and use your in that sense older integration even with newer versions of FactFinder. The only obviously downside is that if you want to have new features, then you also need to update the web components. But if you want to stay with the current configuration and the current capabilities, that's definitely easy to do with the web components, and you are ensured that you can use the most recent version of FactFinder NG.
Okay. Great, thank you, Seb. Last but not least, we have Nicholas to finish off on innovation.
Yeah, hi, I'm Nicholas, and I'm from product management. And so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the roadmap. But before I get into that, I would like to quickly talk about something we've been doing for quite a bit, and that is continuous deployment. As Stuart mentioned initially in the start of the webinar, is that NG is more than a version number. And a big part of that is actually that we have let go of the classic concept of FactFinder versions. So we used to just have like a big 7.2, 7.3, and so on. And these big versions were, well, they had their own functionalities. And if you wanted to have new functionalities, or you'd have to basically upgrade to a new version. Now we've just switched to pure NG, and that means that anyone on NG will get all the bug fixes and performance improvements and new core functionalities without like a dedicated complete upgrade. They just need to update to the new version, which is made easier through our continuous deployment process. To support that, we've also developed an API proxy. This means that if you've integrated against our REST API, if we have changes to our API, which don't happen that often, but of course they have to happen occasionally, then instead of you having to like either delay the update because you don't want to reintegrate or don't have the time to reintegrate, or you're having to reintegrate your entire front end, you can simply use our API proxy that will seamlessly and also extremely quickly translate older API calls to newer ones, and obviously also the responses to that. Yeah, so that's pretty much that part. That being said, we can look ahead a little bit on the first big updates coming in the next near future, and the first big one will actually be our redesigned UI. I'm going to talk a little bit about that in the next slide because I want to go a little bit more into detail there. But yeah, so the other parts are we're also currently working on further expanding our A/B testing that Holly talked a little bit about. So currently it works. You set up an A/B test and you define your parameters, and that test gets put out to the customers. And what we are working on is multivariate testing. That means it allows this automatically mixes the parameters of the various A/B tests you have concurrently running, and this has a couple of advantages. So first of all, it's generally a little bit faster in finding the results for the specific A/B test, because we mix it together, but obviously our FactFinder internally knows which parts have been combined and is able to then translate it back out again. But it also allows us to find unexpected synergies between different tests. So if you have parameters from test A and parameters from test B, and individually they may not be great, but together they're really fantastic, that wouldn't be found in a classic A/B test, because you've just set up these very siloed A/B tests. But with multivariate testing, these kind of synergies can be found. Also, what we're working on in a little bit further future is a semantic search engine. This allows for users to search for kind of context-sensitive queries. That means, for example, FactFinder will be allowed to rank products differently depending on their properties. So if I search for TV with a big screen, it will show me TVs with screen size, let's say, over 50 inches and up. But if I search for phone with a big screen, obviously that 50 inches would be stupid, but the semantic search engine will know that. It will see, okay, our search query has phones in it. Phone screen sizes don't go up to 50, 60 inches, but rather are somewhere between 4 and let's say 7 inches. So a big screen will mean probably a phone with anything above, let's say, 6 inches. And these are the kind of results that it will then also return. That is especially, I think, interesting for natural language searches, which you'll have coming more and more through voice interfaces, Alexa and whatever, because often people don't really know kind of the exact numbers they're searching for, and this just allows for a more seamless interaction. We're actually already working on semantic search on a prototype with one of the largest retailers here or larger retailers here in Germany. And so far it's going actually pretty well. So yeah, I'm excited about that in the future. So this is the thing for the big customer facing features, but I would like to quickly circle back to the UI. And so we've had a lot of feedback over the past couple of years that, a lot of UI feedback, and we've realized that we have to kind of completely reinvent the way people are using FactFinder in the backend. We redesigned it based on a lot of customer interviews. We gathered specific use cases and customer goals and so on. And we started just really redesigning, not around the technical capabilities, but more around the use cases that we had. So we also switched to a more adaptive technology called React, which is a JavaScript framework, which just also allows us to more quickly iterate on design choices and build these newer and more efficient interaction models. Our goal was not to just simply make things easier or simpler, but also to, at the same time, kind of expand expand on our powerful search engine capabilities. A few highlights are, for example, that we've added side-by-side comparisons of either the same search query with different parameters or different search queries, and also immediate visual feedback for any plan changes, or if you adjust a ranking rule and so on, you can immediately see the changes that it's going to have on your search results. This allows for not just people to use it quicker and so on, but also avoids a lot of mistakes and kind of going back and forth to the actual shop and so on. And it's just a much faster way of working and a much more accurate way. We're right now in the first alpha tests with some selected customers, and we were planning on a broader rollout in Q2. So it's really going forward. And for more information actually on that, we will be releasing a few sneak peek videos tomorrow on our YouTube channel, and it'll probably also be on LinkedIn, whatever. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Yeah, that's it from me.
Great. Thank you, Nicholas. So we're nearing the end. So it'd be good to show you a couple of examples from leading retailers in regards to NG. So we've got a couple here. You'll have to forgive the pronunciations. I'll try my best. On the left-hand side, we have Elk Shop. So you may be familiar with these guys. They're coming up to their 10-year anniversary, actually, with FactFinder. So this is a long-standing customer. Part of the Dixons Group, which here in the UK, everyone is familiar with those, I'm sure. So quite a substantial retailer in Europe. So their expectations are really high. So when they decided to onboard NG, I guess one of the sort of overriding factors for them was our ability to produce results, and that's something that we've done with these guys for, like I said, best part of 10 years. We've also got some interesting case studies on our website, so if you've got some time, maybe later, to have a look at the website, you'll see that there's one on there regarding Elk Shop, so it's well worth a read. On the right hand side, now this is the trickier one for me, we have Tischwelt. So Tischwelt are again quite a sizable retailer, specifically in Germany. These guys are quite interesting in the fact that they saw instant success moving from their old FactFinder version to NG. So pretty much instantly, we can see that there was some interesting KPIs that they achieved, and obviously we're working with them ongoing to help optimize and improve the solution even further. So again, it's really useful for you guys to have a look at the FactFinder website and look at some of the other case studies that we have on there as well. So I guess to sort of put this into some sort of summary, why FactFinder Next Generation? Hopefully you've had some reasonable understanding over the last 35 minutes or so of the development that's gone on behind the scenes in the last 6 months to a year, and obviously the project roadmap and how that looks for the future. So first and foremost, this is a results game, right? So out of the box, FactFinder will put other solutions to shame. We've got no problems in going up and in head-to-heads with either solutions such as Elastic or other vendors. A/B testing is something that we're very well rehearsed in, and we're very successful as well. Again, we've got testimonials when it comes to A/B testing. A lot of the A/B tests are cut short quite quickly because they realize that FactFinder is by far the best solution for them. So it's we're happy to engage within that process, and we encourage it. Unique B2C and B2B solutions. Again, with some of the developments that we've seen over the last sort of 6 months, things like predictive basket, customer-specific pricing, these types of things are very unique to that particular sector, and obviously very unique to us. And these are, I guess, things that we've developed with the customer in mind. And I think that's really important when you're developing technology, that you're not developing technology for technology's sake. You're developing it with the customer in mind to solve a specific problem. And that's why we are now looked at as market leaders for B2B solutions. Going back to the very first slide that you saw when you joined the webinar, and you saw the awards there, Finances Online. Well, that's the 3rd year on the trot that we've actually won Best Search Solution Provider Award. So we're really proud of our work that we do for the B2B areas, vertical, and of course B2C as well. I mean, most of our customers here, certainly in the UK, are B2C. We work with some really interesting brands. So there is some crossover, I guess, in some of those things like predictive basket, which could be used for things like B2B, but it's also very impactful in things like the grocery sector, for example, where predictive reordering is a really strong tool. And professional integration support. So integration support is really key, actually. And we're very lucky to have such a skilled blend of project managers across Europe, across all our various offices, whether it be in Paris, Milan, here in Cambridge, or obviously in a head office in Germany. And all these guys who work on projects are very skilled at knowing very knowledgeable and knowing of what the customer wants, because they've worked on many NG projects before, obviously, but they're also sort of in tune with the specific requirements that that particular vertical or that particular type of retailer may have. So it's really important to use that knowledge when you're integrating technology into a particular shop system. And the other important thing about that is all our technology is all our own. So that makes for really quick onboarding. And if there's customizations that need to be made, or if it's a slightly bespoke requirement that needs to be looked at, we don't have to worry about. We don't have some of the headaches that our competitors have, where they have to go to a third party to try and find a solution. All this technology is developed in-house, and so therefore we only have to go to the office down the corridor to hopefully solve a problem. So that's really important. And I think, when it comes to looking at partnerships and things like that with a particular tech vendor, hopefully these are some of the things that will resonate with you guys. So that brings me nicely on to, I guess, some questions. So I'm just going to have a little look here. Okay, so we've got a few. I guess the blindingly obvious one that jumps out at me is which platforms do you integrate with? Okay, so a good person to answer that would maybe be Holly. Do you want to jump in, Holly, and help us with that one?
Yeah, I'm going to take that one. So Stuart sort of alluded to this earlier. We are platform agnostic. So there's no one set or 2 or 3 set platforms that we can integrate with. So long as you've got some access to source files of whatever platform you're working on, so the template files, we could certainly integrate with that. So the 2 main routes that we have, one of them Sebastian touched on earlier, web components. That's one of the quickest and easiest ways to implement FactFinder, and a lot of our customers at the minute are opting for that. And because it's all front-end integration, it means that you don't have to have even as much access to the platform either, because it's all driven through the templates and the JavaScript files. Or you can just integrate natively server-side and with the REST API. Either of those options, any developer that's working on a platform should be quite capable of implementing FactFinder. There's no set limitations. You have to be working in a particular language. It's quite agnostic. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I know from experience here in the UK, and to be fair, some of the guys that are on the call here, I can see there's a couple of Magento specialist agencies here. Here in the UK, Magento would be one of our sweet spots. To be fair, I think I'm fair in saying that, Holly. We're well rehearsed with certainly going from M1 to M2. And a lot of these guys now that are going from M1 to M2 are obviously onboarding FactFinder Next Generation, which is really positive.
Maybe.
Yeah, sorry, go on.
Yeah, maybe a quick information. So, as Holly said, so we can be integrated in any shop system for some shop system, and Magento is definitely one of them. We do have plugins available or SDKs, which can be used for quite some effort. So then only minor adjustments have to be done. But this is something probably we can send afterwards around the web components documentation, but also the different SDKs. There's also a German shop system, Oxid, which is probably not popular in UK, but Magento it is. We also have for Hybris. So yeah, there are different plugins already available.
Thank you, Seb. I guess another one probably aimed at yourself or Holly, this one. This is the how long is a piece of string question, unfortunately. But how long does it take to integrate FactFinder? Who would like to take that?
Go on, then I'll take that. Yeah, it is a bit of a how long is a piece of string. So there's a lot of variables when we're working on projects. Other contributory factors that you have to take into account when working on these projects. But again, talking about web components again, that's one of the reasons why we've developed that, because it does cut down the development time so much, because your development effort isn't so constrained in all of the logic and the data processing. It's really, really stripped down to more the aesthetics, really, the templates, layouts, the styling. So although we can't give a definitive answer, I know we've seen projects that are really quick and projects that are really, really long. It really is what you make of it. But web components, if time was of the essence, that's definitely the route to go. As soon as you've got a FactFinder application ready with data imported, you could have search set up that day. Depends on how much effort you want to spend in getting it all laid out and integrated really well. Yeah, there's no one set answer, but it can be really quick, especially with web components.
Okay, great. Super. I've got some more questions here, but to be fair, I think we're going to get to these after the call. So we'll contact you individually on some of those which are coming through, some of those on pricing and stuff like that, which, especially from an overview point of view, pricing is banded based on the amount of searches that a client has. So what we tend to do is historically look at the last 12 months of search volumes, and then that gives us a good indication of the usage then going forward while they're going to be using FactFinder. The other variable in that is the obvious one. So again, going back to the beginning of the presentation, I took you through the modules, as I called them. So you had the search core, the merchandising module, the personalization module, and the navigation module. So obviously, the more components that you're using a FactFinder, the more expensive it's going to be. But the good thing is it's all relevant based on the usage. So one of the things that makes FactFinder so attractive to such a broad spectrum of retailers is the fact that it doesn't penalize you for being a smaller retailer. So the ROI would be pretty much around about the same percentage as someone who's just opening up an e-com shop, as opposed to someone like Elk Shop, who is a long-standing and recognized retailer. The variables also, there's going to be other variables as well, I guess, in terms of some of the other hosting setups that the retailer may want, and again, I guess the level of service. So would they want some consultancy built into that as well? But again, if it's pricing that you're looking at, the best thing to do is contact us afterwards, or contact me afterwards, and either I'll get back to you individually, or the other option is obviously going through the website and requesting the information from there. Okay. Great. So I think a big thanks to the guys, so Nicholas, Holly, and Sebastian, for all your insightful knowledge and help in putting this together. It's much appreciated. I'm sure it gives those watching some food for thought, hopefully, on potential partnerships. And I guess some of the existing customers that I can see who are attending, hopefully this will give you some sort of comfort on maybe looking to sort of upgrade to NG, with obviously the benefits that it brings with it. I think it's fair to say that these have been very challenging times for businesses, and I sincerely pray that you can be reassured that FactFinder is investing in the future to provide tangible solutions ever changing problems in an ever changing world. So I much appreciate the time you've taken out of your day to be with us, and all the best and stay safe.